Hey guys, I'm so excited to be bringing you today's refreshed recipe. This is a new take on a classic chocolate cupcake. It's perfect especially for children's birthdays. This is a recipe that was passed down to me by my mother. This is what she made for us when we would have our birthdays. And this is what I made for my older daughter when she turned 1. I wanted something that she could eat, that I wouldn't feel bad about her eating, that wasn't full of a lot of sugars and especially wasn't chocolate that might have a lot of caffeine in it. And this is the exact same recipe I will make for my younger daughter when she turns 1. This is a new take on a chocolate cupcake. It is a carob cupcake. Let's get started with this. First off, you will start with 2/3 of a cup of butter and 1.5 cups of maple syrup. Now, maple syrup is excellent for you. Maple syrup is loaded with polyphenols, which act like antioxidants in the body, so they help to prevent disease. Perfect for keeping us healthy. And it also doesn't do quite the amount of damage that a refined sugar would do. Now, for your butter, you want to make sure it's nice and soft. Stick it in there with the maple syrup and let that go for a while. Until it's nice and smooth consistency. To that, you will add 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1 cup of yogurt. Of course, if you want to make this with less dairy, you could substitute applesauce in place of the yogurt. Now, while that's going in the mixer, you're going to mix together your dry ingredients. Now, for your dry ingredients, you are going to do 2.5 cups of flour and 1/2 cup of carob. Here is the cool thing about carob. Carob is actually in the pea family. It's the same as the pea family, and it's eaten because of its seeds. Now, these seeds can be roasted and ground down so that they're like a chocolate product, much like baking chocolate that you would use, or hot chocolate. You can actually mix this with hot water, hot milk, and sip it on a cool day like you would hot chocolate, but it doesn't have any caffeine, so it's much better, especially for children. It has this nice flavor to it, slightly sweet, a little bit nutty, a little bit earthy, but that doesn't come through when you bake it, especially with some sweetener in there. It's just delightful. It can be used in all different ways, but most certainly as a chocolate substitute. So 2.5 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of carob, and then you're going with a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. Whisk all of those dry ingredients together. And by now, everything in your mixer should be looking pretty smooth and ready for those dry ingredients. Pour them in, beat it together for just a couple minutes. And again, these are some slightly different ingredients. You probably don't normally bake with maple syrup or carob, but treat it just like the normal ingredients. Let it all go, make sure it's mixed together, and then pour this either into a cake or cupcake pans. This recipe, with the amounts that I've done today, will make 24 cupcakes. Or in my case, I actually made 12 cupcakes and 1 bundt cake, so I had something pretty for the table, and then also cupcakes for all the kids to enjoy. You're going to stick that in the oven, 350 degrees, and that will bake for about 30 to 40 minutes, really depending. I let it go for closer to 40-45 minutes for the bundt cake, but I took the cupcakes out after about 20 minutes. Just keep a close eye on them. If you are baking them both at the same time, you might want to rotate bottom rack to top rack and flip them around halfway through the baking time. And the bundt cake, of course, will stay in there a little bit longer if you're baking both. And then it's time to decorate. Now, here's where things get interesting. Again, you could, of course, top these with a buttercream, but to keep it a little bit lighter and healthier for the kids, I have chosen to do a whipped cream frosting, basically just straight up whipped cream. You could buy store-bought whipped cream, but I have this cool, handy contraption. I just pour the whipping cream, and I can buy an organic whipping cream. I pour it right in. I add a few other ingredients like a dash of sugar and a dash of vanilla, and then I have this compressed air canister that I screw on the top, put the whole thing together, give it a shake, and it's ready to dispense. The beautiful thing about this is I, of course, could make whipped cream in my stand mixer like I always did in the past, but the nice thing about this contraption is you can just serve out as much as you might need that day, and then you can keep the canister in the refrigerator for a week, and the whipped cream will stay fresh in there for a week. This is fantastic for Thanksgiving, when you don't necessarily want to put whipped cream on the entire pie, because of course you want to eat leftover pumpkin pie for 3 or 4 days to come, and you just want to be able to dollop out a serving or 2 per day. So you keep that in the refrigerator, decorate what you need for now. These cupcakes, I think, look perfect with a little bit of whipped cream on top and a few sprinkles. If you want to make it a little bit healthier, you could go whipped cream with strawberries or raspberry on top. Looks lovely as well. Light that candle and you're all finished. If you guys have questions about the recipe or comments, I would love to hear from you. Make sure you just leave a comment below and I promise I will get back to you. See you next time on Refresh.